So deciding to place a baby up for adoption is one of the hardest decisions anyone can make. It brings the adoptive parents such incredible joy, but it can also be a heart-wrenching experience for the birth parents. A young woman named Hannah Mongie captured that so well in a video that is touching hearts everywhere. You'll meet Hannah in a moment, but first, watch this.
I made this video so that you know how much I love you.
A most private and intimate moment. A heartbroken single mom saying goodbye to her baby.
I wanted to tell you why I've made the decision to place you with your family. Gosh, you're so cute. You're making it hard.
In 2015, Hannah Mongie was 18 years old when she met Caden. After a few months of dating, Hannah became pregnant, but neither was ready for marriage, and they decided to put their baby up for adoption. Tragically and unexpectedly, Caden passed away 12 weeks into the pregnancy. Enter Emily and Brad Marsh, who loved the idea of an open adoption, one in which Hannah would stay a part of the baby's life. In March of 2016, baby Tagg was born. Hannah had 48 hours with her son before it was time for him to go. Before he did, Hannah shot this video.
And the entire pregnancy, all I was waiting for was just these 2 days I could spend with you. And right now, I'm in the last hour of those 2 days. I made this decision purely out of love, because I knew I couldn't give you what I knew you needed. So I love you, Tagg, Caden Marsh, my little boy, my son. Sorry. I love you so much. Love your mommy, Hannah.
Hannah Mongie, I know, it's emotional, right? Hannah Mongie was behind that message. She's here with us now. Good morning.
Morning.
Wow, you got us.
I have seen this video so many times because I've memorized it, but that
I know. Just
it's been a while.
Just the thought of having 48 precious hours with your child before you decided to do what in your heart you felt was best for him. Mm-hmm. Tell us how you got to that decision.
It was hard. At the beginning of my pregnancy, Caden and I had been talking about how we were going to handle the pregnancy and what we were going to do, and he brought up the idea of adoption because neither of us had gone to school for very long. I didn't have any college experience at that point. I just barely graduated high school a few months before, and we didn't have any work experience or anything, and so he said, okay, what if we think about adoption? And I said, I could never do that. That would just tear my heart apart. And then he said, we need to think about what's best for the baby, and since we aren't, then let's at least think about it. And so I thought about it, and then we kind of came to the conclusion together that we were going to place. And then 2 months later, or I think 2 months, 12 weeks into my pregnancy, after he passed.
May I just ask you, how did he die?
We don't really know. I got a call one morning from his mom, and she told my mom that he passed away in his sleep, and they sent him in for an autopsy, and it came back inconclusive, and they kept it open for 6 months, and then they had to close it because they couldn't find anything.
So now you're in this position where the baby that you and he had decided to place up for adoption, there's new stakes, right? Because I'm sure his parents were hoping that you would keep the baby.
Yeah.
And yet that's not what he wanted, and that's not what you wanted. And so take us to the moment that you shot that video. You had decided to do it. Were there second thoughts in those 48 hours?
I didn't really have any second thoughts. I woke up one day and I just had this peace, like this overwhelming peace that, okay, we're going through with an adoption. And after that, I just felt abnormally okay with it. And it's weird though, because he's my own flesh and blood, and generally that's not something that you'd ever be okay with. But I was, and so as soon as I had him, I guess, as soon as I gave birth to him, I heard him cry for the first time, and I reached down and I got to touch his arm before they placed him in my arms, and something just went off, and it was like, all right, you've got 48 hours, go. And I was crying, and everybody in the room thought like, oh, this is beautiful, she's meeting her son for the first time. And part of me was like, wow, I created this child, and he's here, and I'm meeting him, and it's real. But also the other part of me, I just was sobbing because now he's real, so how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to give him to this family? And so I didn't really have second thoughts, but I just wondered how on earth I was gonna go through with it.
Why did you decide to videotape the message to him?
During the second half of my pregnancy, I had just this strong urge, like this feeling that I needed to create this video. And I, let's see, I don't know, I've seen all these birth moms, they write letters to their children, and I've seen that the emotion behind it can be very misinterpreted, or it can sound superficial, like, oh, I did this because I love you, and they're like, but did my birth mom actually love me? And so I wanted to take a picture of that specific moment, a video of that specific moment where it's real and it's raw and it's in the moment, and Tagg's going to be able to look at it and see, okay, my mom didn't just do this like just to throw me out into the streets or whatever, like she was actually having a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm. You say this decision was made out of love, and you watch that video, no one could reach any opposite conclusion. I mean, we can all feel it. We can feel the energy between the two of you, but there's other energy as well. The adoptive parents and family are incredibly beautiful people who have entered into this arrangement with Hannah that's changed everything for both of them. And on the opposite side of this break, this is what we're going to ask. Could you adopt a baby and allow the birth mother to play a major role in the child's life to the point where the baby's birth mother's photo was right next to your child's bed? Would you be that comfortable with open adoption? Well, our next guests did that, and they're here, along with Tagg next.
I also want you to know that your mommy Emily loves you so much, and she hasn't even met you yet. She's so excited to meet you, and she's gonna meet you in the next probably hour or two, and she cannot wait. And I'm really excited for her because she gets to love you so much, and she gets to raise you.
Beautiful. Before the break, we introduced you to Hannah Mongie, who taped an emotional message to her newborn baby, Tagg, just before she placed him into the arms of his adoptive parents, Emily and Brad Marsh. Emily and Brad, join me now. Welcome. So, I know you've heard this question before, but was there any hesitancy about engaging in an open adoption where the birth mother would remain a part of your child's life?
When we first started the adoption process, and learned that most adoptions were open, that was actually kind of terrifying at first. We had these unanswered questions, wondering what my role would be, what the birth mother's role would be, if our roles would be confused. And so we attended a panel as part of our training with these kids that had been adopted from 3 to 29, and they shared a different range, a varied range of levels of openness. And after we attended that, we learned the benefits, the amazing benefits of the openness in the adoption. And once we learned and saw the wonderful things that could come from an open adoption, we knew that was what we wanted.
Describe that moment, Brad, that you went from understanding that you would not be able to have your own children, which is why you ultimately adopted, to figuring out that you were going to get a child. So you have 3 now, right? You have 3 boys.
Yeah, 3.
To realizing that there were people in the world like Hannah who would give you their child to raise as your own.
Yeah. So when we initially found out that we couldn't have kids, it made me super sad because that's all Emily's been wanting to do for her entire life. So when we first learned of adoption and that it was the option that we had to go to receive a baby, we were hesitant. I was hesitant to know if I could love the child to the same capacity as my own flesh and blood. But that quickly was erased as we met our first child, and I learned that the love is the same that you have for the child, and that the birth mothers can have a major role in their lives, and that won't limit your ability to be a parent.
And I know you have a life motto, right? You have a life motto that more love the merrier. The more love the merrier, which is one of the reasons why you've been so open to this deal. But talk to us about the moment, Emily, that you first held Tagg. Oh. And that Hannah handed him over to you at the end of those 48 hours when you then saw each other. We have a photo of it.
Yes, yes. That picture speaks 1,000 words. It was a much anticipated moment, and those 2 days after he was born were the longest days of my life, but we were so glad and grateful that Hannah was able to that she had chosen to have that time with him alone. And we were very confident in our relationship and knew that things were going to move forward, that she was planning on placing him in. So when we walked into that room and she placed him in my arms, my love for her just went beyond any explanation, and sweet Tagg, I just instantly knew that he was where he needed to be, and we're just so grateful for him.
I teased your appearance by saying, could you do it? Could you have a child that's yours, but yet have the birth mother's photo next to his bed and have the birth mother actively involved in his life? You see Tagg, how many times a month?
Just whenever we're free. So like, it's just
no
like
limits.
We're family. Yeah.
And you babysit him and so on. Is that hard? I think a lot of moms out there and dads would say, I couldn't do it. You know, it would feel like sharing. I'd be worried she'd change her mind or try to challenge the legality, something. Mm-hmm. Or it would confuse Tagg and he would love her more than me. Walk us through that.
As we've experienced these open adoptions, we have learned that these relationships can only help these kids and our kids understand the love that their birth mothers have for them and why they place them. And in our home, birth mothers are considered angels. They're angels that help us to become a family, and they are always spoken of in the utmost respect. And we have their pictures next to their nightstands. They always know who they are. Our oldest is starting to comprehend the idea that he was in someone else's tummy, and so he knows the picture of his birth mom. She had me in her tummy, and so it's just something that's always talked about and always shared.
What do they call their birth mothers?
It kind of varies. Auntie Hannah, just by your name. It just kind of whatever's comfortable for.
So,
whoever.
Without further ado, do y'all want to meet Tagg? He's here, and I want to meet him. Let's bring out little Tagg. Hi. Hello.
Tagg, can you say hi to everybody?
Oh, look at that. He did a turkey.
Can you say hi to everybody?
Blow a kiss.
Can you blow him a kiss? Blow him a kiss?
Okay.
He's not so
Maybe
sure.
not. You want to sit by me?
Is he almost 2 now?
Yeah, he'll be 2 in March.
Oh, all right.
Hi.
Can I sit here?
How are you? Oh yeah, we don't blame you. You take your turkey. I was hoping he was coming over to me. Your family, all of you, beautiful. Thank you for telling your story. All the best to you.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
Hannah, Emily, Brad, and little Tagg. We hope to see you soon. We'll be right back. Hi.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.